I'm calling you from Barcelona, Spain. Here is where I'm based right now, working from SonoSuite, which is a group who is providing technology service for empowered media creators around the world. I'm very happy to be here and thank you to the organization to invite me to make this little presentation. I'm sorry it's a recorded session, so I cannot interact to you directly, but I'm sure that after the meeting, you can send me a direct message and I will be very happy to solve any doubt that you may have. This is a presentation about the revolution of music industry and especially the revolution of the music distribution in the last 10 to 15 years that I've been part of it. I've been seeing how it's going on, and I'm happy to share with you the history that I've seen and what is been happening so far. And maybe you will find something new, you will discover something interesting that you didn't know before, or maybe it's everything that you already know. In any case, I'm happy if you want to join me during this session. The revolution of the music distribution is something that enters in a context of digitalization of the world, which is common to many different industries and is the same for the music itself. First of all, this has made the biggest impact on how we consume the music and how we distribute the music to the consumer. So how the rights holder make his music available for his fans. So what is changed is that before we were need a physical support to listen to the music, even if it were a cassette or a CD or a vinyl, and now it's not like that anymore. And this means that you can have music with your smartphone everywhere you are in your life. You can listen to tons of music and you have available any kind of genre and you can discover tons of new music every day. And this is a big value for the fans. But at the same time, this is also democratized a lot the music distribution because everybody is able from his little room in any place in the world distribute and to make it available to the big number of fans is music without spend a lot of money and without the needs of a logistics structure that deliver the CD or the physical support in every place in the world. This is something funny because at the end of the day, we haven't changed the needs. We haven't changed the way that we are consuming the music. What we change is the way in which we are doing the thing. So now we're doing it in a digital way. So we are able to make it using the support and the structure that the new technology providing to us. And this is something that has meant a big change of how the industry approach the digital distribution. So we're going to try to dive in a little bit to this big change and to this big revolution, giving some information about the history, which are the key actor of it, and which are the information you need to know if you wanted to enter in this revolution. Well, everything started in 1999 when a company called Napster at the time, they were providing a service to download music. This was kind of not a complete legal solution for having not physical music, and you will be able to download files, and there was a network of server who allow you to share these files that you can download in your local laptop or power PC, and then you will be able to create copy of music. This was, of course, something that at that time was not completely legal, not to say that was not legal at all, because there were not any control over it. There were not any way to control rights and to pay properly the owner of the master and the author. So at that time, this was like a parallel and not legal way in order to face the typical physical distribution of the music. So basically, instead of buying a CD in a store, you were downloading the original file and you were creating your own physical support in your house. Then in 2001, iTunes step in and they understand and how it will going this along, and he offer the opportunity to buy these files instead of downloading illegally. And they were offering the solution to buy it by is a store that is the iTunes store, where you can buy this MP3 and you can download it and you can do whatever you like. And in this case, it was like of a first step for digitalization of the music. And then in 2006 is when Spotify completely changed the settlement of the music that we know it today, and it offered this service of streaming. So basically, you are able to listen to the music without the downloaded file in your local PC tower, and the stream is a listen. So basically, Spotify offer a new model. It's very similar to what Napster did, like in terms of sharing the music and have it available digitally. You don't have to pay anything, but at the same time, you are not able to download it in your local laptop. You are streaming it in live. Basically, this changed everything. Starting from that point along, the music has changed, and has been switching from a physical to a non-physical support. And we are now living in a world in which the majority of music is listened streamlined in one of the many services which offer streaming service for listening to the music. Well, which are the actors that are involved in this music distribution? Basically, we are seeing that there are the rights holders, so the people who hold the rights of the music. Usually they're artists or record label or whoever has the rights on a music creation, which in order to be present in different digital store, need to have a distribution partner. Well, the distribution partner, there are many type of. We can talk about the distribution partner which are directly connected with TSP. We can talk about distribution partner that pass through a different service. But basically, distribution partner is one of those services that give you access to the store for distributing your music. Distribution partner are the one who open the door for the distribution service provider. Basically, these are the store like Spotify, NetEase, Apple Music, YouTube. Okay, DSP are those digital distribution service provider are the one who make available the music for the fans, and the distribution partner is the one who make it available in the distribution service provider. Okay, so in order to see the full picture of how those actors interact between them, we can talk about there is an artist that he generating a creation, and there is the fan who is consuming this creation. In between, there is all the three that we have mentioned so far. So there is the rights holder, so the one who owns the rights of the artist, usually is the artist itself, but it can be also someone else like a record label or a publishing company. Then we have the distribution partner, which it can be one of the many services that offer you access to the music distribution. Those partners are differentiated by business model, type of service they offer. We can see something more in depth later on, but there are many available in the field, which give you access to the distribution service provider, which is the store, the place where the fan will consume the music. And in that sense, the fan receives the content through this chain. Okay, so basically from the artist, there is a rights holder who owns the content. You find out a distribution partner that goes through the distribution service provider like a YouTube, Spotify, and then the fan can consume this content. What is interesting is that so far, the only things that we were considering, that we were receiving from the fan in exchange of the consumption of the music were the money. Okay, so the fan for each listen, for each buy, or for each download is generating a certain number of money, which goes and flow back in the same fed that the content comes to him. So basically, the distribution service provider pay out the distribution partner for the listens that the fan has generated to a certain content, which pay out the rights holder, which finally pay out the artist. But what is interesting is that not only money flows through this process, there are also data that are flowing into this, basically because now with the digitalization of the music, you can know almost in real time who is listening to your music, which is the genre, which is if a male, a female, how old he is, your fan, in which city, in which location, and for how long they're listening to you. And this is something, for example, crazy for an artist and in general for a management of an artist, which can use all those data to organize tour, who can make it for understanding which is the best marketing action in order to launch the next release. So I think and I believe that today the music industry has received from all this revolution in the data one of the biggest value of this revolution, because not only the money but also the data which can help the 360 degree vision of an artist, not only related to the funds through the money that is generated for them, but also to the data that they are providing to them. So I think that this is something that has made a big change in how the music industry is considering the fan and the value that the fan is providing to them. In order to make all this system work, there is something that is very important that it's been properly settled. And this is something about the importance of the metadata. So the data, as I mentioned like a few minutes ago, is one of the value that the artists and the rights holders can get from this revolution. But in order to make it working properly, we need to have something called metadata that is properly settled in any kind and in any release that we deliver to our distribution partner. What is a metadata? This is a word that comes from the Greek that says that metas is behind, after, or through, and the connection with the Latin words datum, information. So it's basically something behind or after the information. Basically, the metadata is the information regarding the location, the source, or the author of a described data set, or the access method to the limitation. The metadata can also be if I add an ID or a unique identifier. So basically, it can also be an identification system. Basically, it's a number, it's a code which is identify a single asset. And this is what we use in the music industry today and in digital world is very important in order to identify each one of the sound recording. We use those metadata, which are telling us who is the owner of the sound recording, who is the author, which are the participants involved, and everything like that. Because that is the way in which we can track the asset and consequently receive all the data and the money related to this asset itself. Basically, the most important one that we have as a metadata is an ISRC, that is International Standard Recording Code. This is an acronym from the English glossary, and this is a code which contains the information of the single song. So each song has an ISRC, and is able to identify this master forever and ever in any kind of support is going to be reproduced. Is it digital or physical? Of course, if it's digital, this records is providing us all the information and the data related to the use of this asset. The ISRC code is always composed by 12 characters that are forming the following way that you can see in the screen: 2 letter, 3x that it can be either letter or number, and then 2 number which are related to the years. So this is the years, and then a serial number which is starting from 0 and going to 9,999. The first 2 letters are usually are always identifying the country where it comes from, where it's registered this song. So, for example, can be ET for Italy and ES for Spain, whatever. Then in the 3x, you can find the information about which is the record company who has assigned this ISRC. So you have the country, you have who is the company who have assigned this ISRC. Then the two numbers are the year in which this ISRC has been assigned. And finally, the serial number is a number which identifies this song different from any other. This is a kind of identification number of a song. Then we have the other code, and this is another metadata which combined together with ISRC is the most important one in the revolution of the digital music, which is the UPC. UPC is a universal product code. Is a code that usually you know is the barcode, the typical code which identify a product, and usually the UPC is assigned to a release. So if the ISRC identify the single song, the UPC identify the entire release, which contain multiple ISRC. And this is because a song can be put in different release, like it can be in the album, it can be in the single, it can be in a compilation, and it's always maintain the same code in every place that the song is being used. Different case for the UPC, which is different for each one of the product that are sold through the store. So for the single is a UPC, the album has a different UPC, and the compilation has a either different UPC. Basically, the UPC change every time, and the SRC it's maintained always the same. Okay, those two are the main important metadata that we manage in the digital industry for tracking and delivering through CMSs. CMSs are content management systems, which are the system used by all the digital service provider in order to receive and to provide this information to the distribution partner, and in which in some case, either the record label, the rights holder, or the artist have access to. The CMS is a software tool installed on a web server whose task is to facilitate the content management, and basically the content management of the asset, as we have mentioned before, which are identified through the metadata ISRC and UPC. The assets are the music, the cover, and all the information related to a release. And basically, the CMSs are the system that are helping us to manage all this ton of information. So basically, if you want to have a full control of your music in your store, you need to have access to those CMSs. Recently, some DSP has even given access to a kind of portion of their CMSs in order for the artists to be informed about what's happening about their music in the world. This is the case, for example, of Spotify for Artists tool or Apple Music Connect for Artists. But those are kind of a portion of the CMS that you can see how the data is stored, how is performing, which are the information related to it. And I think it's very interesting to have it here clear that all the data and all the asset information is stored in those content management systems, which are managed by each one of the DSP. Those three, ISRC, UPC, and the content management system which manage data that are identified to the metadata are the basic tools that the music industry has introduced or is being used or is basing its foundation in order to make this digital revolution of the music. And all the three are basically substituting or changing the way in which the music is delivered, because we don't need anymore the physical support, but we still need the data related, the metadata that are recorded to each release and are stored in those CMSs. Well, let's see now how is the commercial relation between the digital service provider and the distribution partner that you're going to find out. There are three possible ways in which you can enter in a deal with the digital service provider. Let's say with Spotify, Apple, NetEase, or each one of those services that are providing access to the fund, to the music distributed through a distribution partner. One of them is the direct deal. Another one is using a Merlin deal with the DSP, and the third one is using aggregator deal. Basically, we're going to see each one what it means. Direct deal is the first option. So basically, the digital service provider deal is negotiated directly by the rights holder. So the rights holder negotiated its own deal with the digital service provider. The content delivered is delivered through the rights holder who builds up his own system for delivering the content, or he buys in a delivery platform who do the job for him. Okay, because in order to make it flow all this content inside the CMS of the digital service provider, you need to build up a content delivery system. You can do it by yourself, which is very expensive and very hard to do it, or you can buy in a service who is offering you this delivery platform already set, and you can use this set for delivering your content and your asset to the CMS of the digital service provider. The royalty and the data, the money and the data, the royalty and the data are processed through the right holder. So you receive the data and the royalty directly from the DSP. And usually there are not other service related. The rights holder buys in an extra service if needed. So there is not any added value apart of having a direct deal with the DSP, which is the cost. The cost of it is usually the negotiation of the deal, all the legal and administrative matter, and the delivery content, which is building up the system of delivering and or buy-ins are delivering existing platform. The option 2 is using a Merlin deal, which is using a rights organization, which is providing for you the contract. Basically, in this case, the rights holder is opting into a deal that is negotiated by Merlin for all is associated. In this case, the content delivery still need to be done by the rights holder itself, or is need to buy a delivery platform who provide this service apart for them. The royalty and the data are processed by Merlin, and they pass to the rights holder through Merlin. And finally, again, in this case, there are not added service. The rights holder need to buy extra service if he need. And when we talk about the extra service, we talk about marketing or placement and everything. In this case, Merlin just offer a negotiated deal with the DSP. The cost of Merlin is between 1.5 to 3% commission cost of delivery content and other activities. Just to mention, the option of direct deal and Merlin deal, in truth, are like more or less the same, even if Merlin deal is the most easy one, because today it's very hard to find out a DSP who is willing to sign a direct deal with them, because the logic behind even the creation of Merlin was that the DSP, they wanted the maximum amount of catalog with the minimum amount of contract and deal signed. So basically, it's very hard for you as a rights holder to be accepted by the DSP for a direct deal. So Merlin is the most used for the one who wants to have a, let's say, direct deal to the rights holder. But in any case, passing through this organization is the best way to do it. And then we have the last solution, which is the most common one, that is passing through aggregation deal. So in this case, the distributor itself has negotiated a deal, or it has opted into a deal negotiation by Merlin. All the content delivery is distributed by the distributor itself, who has his own rights holder, who has his own delivery platform, and the rights, royalty, and the data are processed by the aggregator and passed to the rights holder. Usually, the distribution service like that has many other services, and they added to the offer to the rights holder. In this case, the cost is usually much more expensive. It goes and varies to a fee between 10 to 30% or possible higher if you are involved in marketing campaign. Well, this is a map of the different way you have to settle a distribution service through this distribution service. You can do it in different way, and the most common one, as I say, is the aggregator deal, which is when you find a distribution partner that has already made all the process. But there are also day after day more people who are looking for going for a own deal, a Merlin deal, or a direct deal solution in order to make his own system of delivery platform and to step in as a company of distribution service. This is the case of a company like SonoSuite, which offer a delivery platform ready to any company who wanted to deliver its content and to want to become a distributor itself. Well, this is more or less everything from my side. I hope that I have helped you to discover something new and to see how is configured the music digital distribution today. If you have any question, I'm sure that you're going to find my contact below. SonoSuite.com is our website. If you have questions, remarks, or you want to have a chat about those topics, I would be more than happy to do it with you. I hope you have a fine day, and see you soon, China, and everyone in this room. Bye-bye, and thank you.